Proud to be sponsored by Diamond Bright, the car care products that have been keeping the furious fleet looking their best for a long time already. To find all you need to keep your car clean and protected, follow the link below to diamondbright.co.uk. Hello, welcome back to Furious Driving and the Rover 200 Convertible, the car with no roof or no life in it. Now, filming this video has been as disjointed and dysfunctional as the actual repairs on the car itself. It all started about a week or so ago. I was driving, well, as a rule, I don't generally name cars, but I've decided to call this one Quentin, as in Quentin Tarantino, because you know I love a Rover R8. Well, this is the Hateful Eight. When James came over and helped me put this new hood frame on, out of shot, you can't see it right now, the car decided it wasn't going to start anymore. It was running really well. I took it for a couple of drives around that kind of private industrial park, all good. Run up and down the drive a couple of times here, all good. Then suddenly it just wouldn't start. It just cranks and cranks and cranks. Allow me to demonstrate. There's lots of that going on. Right, so there's three options really as to why this won't start. First of all, it could be the fuel pump has failed. We did look into that in the previous video when we found there's a nice little access hatch under the back seat which we took out, and the access hatch isn't above the fuel pump because this is a convertible. It's different. The other most likely option is that the fuel relay has failed, which means it's not triggering the fuel pump in the first place. But I haven't really got the testing equipment to test one because this car hasn't really got a very up-to-date or modern kind of OBD port you can plug in and diagnose, so it's a little bit of guesswork on that one as well. The third thing that could be would be the crank position sensor, which is easy to diagnose because you can unplug it and it's a simple ohm meter test. You can plug your test meter into the back of it and into the cable that goes to it and figure out pretty quickly whether or not it's the thing that's broken. It's also cheap and it's relatively accessible on the back of the engine. No disassembly required. So now, before I started making this video, I thought I'd try and do a little bit of pre-diagnosis, that if I needed to go and buy some stuff, I could buy it and have it ready to make a video in one easy on myself and easy to watch kind of thing. I thought I'd have a look for that sensor, so I did a bit of pre-work on the car. I popped the bonnet, had a bit of a rummage around the back of the engine, and what they say is that the cam position sensor is on the back of the engine below the inlet manifold and kind of just above or around the area of where the drive shaft goes into the gearbox, more or less. And you can't really see it either, so I put my hand down there, kind of worked out with the torch roughly where it was, and found the wires going to a sensor in that position. Bingo, I thought, and then it fell in half. So even more bingo, I thought. I've just solved the problem of my non-running car. It's clearly the cam position sensor. So I went and bought one. It's £25, so it's a little bit of money, but not the end of the world. But I knew I needed it because it had broken in half and then the car would start. Guess again. So I unbagged my new sensor, had a good look at it, unscrewed my old sensor, had a look at it, and you couldn't really tell the difference because the old one had kind of fallen in half, so couldn't really tell if they were different or the same or not. But as I looked underneath the bonnet and got ready to insert the new sensor in place, I noticed there was a different number of pins on the plug for the old sensor to the new sensor, which is kind of annoying. And then I heard the glugging noise. What I'd undone wasn't the cam position sensor, but the speedo sensor, and all the transmission fluid was now falling on the floor. It didn't start straight away, which is kind of weird. It took a moment to think about it and then fell out, and waited until I was walked away so I could lose a good litre or so without really giving me a chance to fix it. So I quickly put the old one back in, plugged the hole, and then went off and bought myself a new speedo position sensor. Fortunately, the bottom half is one bit which goes into the gearbox with the drive wheel on it, and the position sensor is only about 10 quid off eBay. So I've now refitted that. There might be some mobile phone footage of that happening, I'm not sure, because I also seem to have lost some footage of all this as well. So this has gone really well this week. But now I appear to have a working speedo sensor again, although I can't test it because the car isn't going anywhere. Now, because I'd opened the bag for the cam position sensor, I couldn't return it. There's a label on it that says you can't return it. So I had to fit it, and fitting it takes as long as checking it, so nothing to lose. So I did that. So this really is the crank position sensor, as opposed to the other thing which I took apart, which is the speed sensor. Right, new crank position sensor. Let's see if this works. How's the battery flat, for Christ's sake? In case you weren't clear on that, that was a no, it doesn't start. Now you might think it might take a bit of influence from this one, which is parked in front of it and starts every time. In fact, this one's so reliable, I've got nothing to say about it for the time being on recent videos, because I've just pulled out the garage, just driven it. I've done like 200 miles in it this week so far. Learn a lesson, take a hint, Quentin. So the next obvious thing to check is that there is fuel coming through the filter. Because if there's no fuel, it's not going to start. You can maybe start working out where the fuel is stopping, or not starting even. I don't hear the pump. So then I turn my attention to the next most accessible item, which is of course the relay. And there's a bit of confusion about this as well, because the relay could be in a couple of places. Normally it's found under the radio behind the dashboard, but apparently on the convertible it's in a big wedge-shaped box in front of the fuse box. Now, as I say, everything appears to be slightly different on the convertible for no good reason. The books and the internet seem to give all kinds of conflicting information. It could be that this is part of the relay for the fuel system, and it could be these are part of the relay system for the fuel. However, I've got a fix for this, or a fix for testing this, because doing this one-handed is quite hard. Should have a screwdriver involved. Walk this way. Lovely Tomcat has a bank of these things, which are all the same. We can borrow these for a test. Right, let's see if this doesn't work. That appears to have made no difference. Now apparently convertibles are different, which is great, and the fuel relay is somewhere inside this big module here. One of them. I'm sure it won't make much difference, but I have doused this in electrical contact cleaner as well, just to, I don't know, get any spiders out. So I took it off and tried to work out how to test it, because testing it isn't very easy. I was able to test the individual relays, and what I found was on some there was a clicky, and on some there was no clicky. Clicky, no clicky. So I thought, aha, bingo, I fixed the car. So off to eBay again, another £15 plus postage, and we're now, I think, up to date. I don't think I need to say any more in exposition. I think I can carry on with the actual video stuff. So in recap, I've lost the footage, the car doesn't work, I've replaced a sensor I didn't need to, replaced a second sensor I didn't need to, and now I'm about to replace the relay. I think you know where this is going, don't you? Well, here we are a few days later and a thing has arrived in the post. I was going to fit it last night, but it was pouring with rain when the guy dropped it off. But this car, even when it's broken, is managing to annoy me, because my lovely Hamilton Classic cover has snagged on the roof, which is down, and torn. So it's even making me cross when I'm not even near it. So this relay, which I've found off eBay for about 15 quid, it's either going to be the quickest, fastest, apart from the actual delivery time, repair on this Rover, or a complete waste of time. But the other relay was yes clicky for some relays and no clicky for one relay inside this box. So let's see if this works. And this is a two-handed job, and I'm holding a camera with it on, so I'll turn this off. Join me again in a second. Right, let's see. Unlock lock, resets the alarm. Sad it doesn't reset the dog, which is barking at the neighbour's kids, because it loves to bark at the neighbours. In neutral, will you please start today? I hate this car. I really hate this car. Pointless piece of junk. Fed up with this car. That doesn't smell very petrol-y, so I'm guessing not much fuel, or no fuel, is getting through. Well, ain't that just peachy? The relay was testing as broken, replaced with a better one. The car still doesn't work, which means the next time I do anything with this car to try and make it work, it's going to be the fuel pump, which means either drilling a hole in the floor underneath where the seat goes, or playing a bit of guess where the fuel pump might be before I drill a hole into the fuel tank, or dropping the fuel tank front of the car, both of which sound like great fun. In better news, I have ordered a hood cover for it, going with red. That was the result of the poll. Most people did vote for red. There was a strong thought for going for black because that was the original colour and it's kind of very neutral, but I think a convertible needs a bit of a standout pizzazz, bazinga kind of thing going on, and so a silver car, red roof, that's going to look quite nice, make it stand out a bit. So hopefully whoever buys this car and takes it away from me and out of my life will enjoy that colour. I've also spoken to a trimmer to fit it because I don't want to do that. I really don't want that game. It looks like a whole bunch of no fun. Right, so yeah, join me again next time when I'm kicking this car and hitting it with a hammer or setting fire to it.